All right. Well, let me move on then. Let me move on from this. Let's move on to Smackdown, Friday Night Smackdown. I got a review of the Bloodline angle and Solo Sikoa's promo. Vlad gave it a thumbs up here. The Bloodline. Let's see a couple clips. I guess I could play. Here's Solo talking to Nick Aldis. So when the show started, he was going to take the Bloodline off of this tag team #1 contenders gauntlet match because the infamous Tongaloa, something happened to his eye or something, like he's wearing an eye patch, which I don't know if that's real or not, but if he ends up wearing an eye patch, that's going to look really cool. But anyways.
I think it is real based on what I've heard and seen, but yeah.
So Solo talks him into keeping them in the match by replacing him with Jacob Fatu, and they did end up winning the tag team gauntlet #1 contenders match. I will give a criticism though, because they beat the Street Profits at the end, and the Street Profits had already been in 2 matches, and they didn't really stomp them. It was like they still had to do some work. So that's the one criticism I had, where I thought they should have just let them demolish the Street Profits.
Great.
And then at the end, Solo, he cut a backstage promo promising to win the title at SummerSlam against Cody, and he did mention Roman, that if Roman has a problem with anything he's done and becoming the tribal chief, then he knows where to find him. So that was interesting. Cody was on this show. We reviewed that separately. He just had like a video package that he sent in, and he talked about the match with Solo too. But let's just stick with the Bloodline stuff, their angle here with the tag team match and the promo to end the show. Your review was a thumbs up. My review was a half a thumbs up, an Orange Cassidy thumbs up. I had the little criticism of that gauntlet match, and it just wasn't. It was kind of a weak SmackDown this week. A lot of the guys were, I guess, on that tour in Japan, so they sent some of their roster, and like Cody wasn't there, so I assume everyone was over there. AJ was there. I saw some clips, but I don't really know what happened. But anyways, it was not a very strong SmackDown, so I give it a half a thumbs up. Vlad's a thumbs up. Robert's not here, but he gave it a thumbs up also. So before we get into SummerSlam predictions, do you have any comments you want to make about this episode in particular?
This specific, or about the Bloodline, or just in what are we talking about in general?
Whatever you want to talk about from this SmackDown, from the gauntlet match to the promo ending the show to the fact that he's telling Roman that he knows where to find him, and just the way this scene looks. Like, look at this picture with Jacob Fatu behind him, like praying to him or something. The imagery is really amazing. But anyways, whatever you want to comment, and then leave a minute or so because we're gonna give our predictions for SummerSlam.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll be fairly quick. Obviously, I love the backstage, not the backstage, the interview packages that they've started to do with the Bloodline, with Solo as the head of the table type of thing, and the 3 guys behind, especially Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu I just love in general, like his in-ring work, even in this past gauntlet match, which I didn't really care for because it's a gauntlet match, which is kind of a dumb way to. How is that a fair way to garnish who should be the #1 contender when if somebody starts out first? What if like the best team starts out first? Obviously, they're not going to beat 5 different teams, so that's a kind of a stupid way to. It's a stupid match altogether. I've always felt. I love the Roman aspect, like throwing Roman's name in there at the end, like saying. Well, I mean, I know he's mentioned Roman a couple times before, but I've liked it in this case because I think Robert and I think that Roman is due back any time now, and maybe what's a better time than SummerSlam? It's just it's probably the third. I don't know. Would you say SummerSlam is the second or third most important pay-per-view behind WrestleMania? Or do you think Royal Rumble is still number 2 and then SummerSlam? I don't know. It's hard to.
SummerSlam is important in terms of like the title main event, but the Royal Rumble is usually more important just for the Royal Rumble itself. Yeah. So this title match is big. But I was going to ask you, so are you thinking that that's the way they're going to make Solo lose, that Roman's going to come back and cost him? Because I was going to ask you if there's any chance Solo could actually win here, because I freaking love him, man. I would love for him to be champion. I want him to be champion so bad.
I think Roman will come back, and I have a hard time though seeing, I think you mentioned it, seeing him help Cody actually win the match. So that's the part that's kind of confusing me right now. How they go about doing this where it will make sense. Because why should he really help Cody? He really shouldn't. I know that he has issues with Solo, and that could set up a whole angle of Bloodline versus Roman's Bloodline. But I don't know. How do they make it make sense? Because why should, as you've said it in maybe one of our other shows, why should he help Cody? He really shouldn't. So they're going to have to kind of figure that out if he is to come back at SummerSlam, which I think would be a perfect time to reintroduce him back to the show. I don't know what else you could be waiting for. SummerSlam was, to me, the perfect time. So we'll see. But I do think Cody will retain somehow. That's my prediction.
All right. Well, time's up for that.